MS here. Today we're going to be doing a review and comparison of the new Noiseblocker eLoop series fans. These are 120mm fans. I've got 5 of the 6 in the series. Big thank you to Frozen CPU for sponsoring this video. They allowed me to take a look and give an honest review and comparison of these fans and how they're going to stack up in my system. And I can't say enough good things about Frozen CPU. I happen to be local to them, and they know their stuff, I'll give them that. They really do a bunch of nice guys. So a big thank you goes out to them for sponsoring this, I appreciate it. But these fans in particular are very interesting. It's not a single blade design on the fan, it's actually a solid rotor all the way around, so each of the fan blades is connected together. The company, I guess, based this off of birds in flight and the vortexes that come off the end of their wings. So they designed these fans in comparison to that to reduce the vortex, which is the sound that you would actually hear coming off the fans. So they require less power and create less noise. I believe it's about 70–90% of the RPMs required with these fans compared to 100%, which would be required from a normal fan, to give you the same airflow and static pressure, I believe. So we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at them and unbox, see what's in the fan, and we'll go ahead and give the comparison. Okay, so here's a look at the 5 fans that we'll actually be doing. In order, these go from the B12-1 to the B12-2, 3, 4, and the B12PS PWM fan. So, starting with the B1, I believe this is a 800 RPM fan. So this would definitely be more of just a case fan due to the RPMs on it. The decibels on this is really low though, looking at like 7.83, I believe. So that's going to be a quiet fan, but the airflow is quite minimal, but I guess that's what they were going for. With the B12-2, the rated RPMs on this is 1300 RPMs. Decibel wise, we're looking at 16.7. With the B12-3, RPMs, we're looking at 1900 RPMs with a decibel level of 26.5. Now the B12-4, this is the fastest in the series, with 2400 RPMs and a decibel level of 34.29. And then we have the PWM one, the B12PS, which ranges from 400 RPMs to 1500 RPMs. So we'll I'll go ahead and get one of these opened up and we can take a look at it. Okay, so the one that we're going to open up and take a look at first is the B12PS, the PWM one. Inside we have sets of screws, which I believe are actually held on by a nut and bolt configuration in them, and they also come with rubber dampers as well. One of the big things about these fans is how quiet they are, and they're designed with that specifically in mind. Not just a great airflow, but the amount of how loud they are. And from what I've read online, these things are phenomenal at their job. Now, these were designed in Germany, and from everything that I've read on their website, they put a ridiculous amount of research into basing these fans. They're really cool looking. I do like the design of them. The rear frame, you can see, has a bit of a bevel to it, almost like a swish. It's not a very heavy fan. They do have a brand new bearing and drive in these that is supposed to help make them so energy efficient. And you can see there's like little sleeves on each of the corners that actually protrude just past where the nut and bolt are going to go. and these are rubber for sound dampening as well. And due to the way that they drilled these out, it's going to reduce any vibrations throughout the frame. And with the wiring harness on this, it's actually coming right out of the side to keep cable management down, which is a really good idea. Instead of having it come out the back as normal, if you're doing these on a radiator setup, you can have them side by side without having to worry about running the wires. Now, included in the box, we've got, with this one, 2 4-pin extensions, one short one, one long one. Which I guess if you really needed the extra length, you could connect them together. And I have a Gelid Solutions 6-channel fan controller that I'm going to be connecting these two to test it on. So, very nice sleeving. Looks really good. No visible wires in it. Looks really good. They did a good job with these. And the fan itself, as you can see, it's just one single piece all together. And you can't really see it on camera, but on the back side of this, there's bevels that go all the way around the rotor itself to help the airflow flow through it without giving you that swooshing sound that you normally get from fans. So they look really cool. I like that. The design aspect seems to be very well thought out, and physically it is appealing to the eye, at least to me in my opinion, and I like it. Do they have the directions on them? Yep, and as a lot of fan manufacturers do, they have the direction in which it rotates and in which the airflow is pushed out of the fan. So it'll tell you the fan that rotates this way, and then the air is going to be coming out of the bottom, which is pretty normal for fans. But at least this way, for anyone new to fans, you have an idea of where you want to place it and how you're going to place it in your system to give you the desired results. So we've got all of our fans out, and again from left to right, this is the B12 1, 2, 3, 4, and the PS PWM fan. So what I'm going to do, I've got my test power supply out, and I've just got a dummy connector on the 24 pin, so I can just power it on without having it in the system, and just a Molex connector for the fans. And I'm going to go through and actually test them. With the PWM fan, obviously at this point I won't have a control of it until I connect it to my fan controller. But at least from here I can go through and see what how loud they are, how they actually sound. And so yeah, so I'll go through, I'll start from the first one and work my way down the line and test each one of the fans for their decibel level and see how they compare to their ratings. Okay, so we've got them all set up, and I've got my decibel meter running, and I've got it zeroed out so the power supply noise is not taken into account for this. Let's see if I can give you a shot of that. Pretty much just on zero. So I'm going to go ahead and test these out, see how they sound. Okay, so with the B12 1, I'm averaging right around 26-ish. Maybe a little bit above 26, 27, 28, 29. Okay, so the first one, again, taking into account, the quality of the sound meter app that I'm using on my Android phone, I did have it calibrated down to 0 for the power supply. The first fan I'm getting like 20 decibels. Okay, so the first one that was 800 RPM, I could barely even hear it. With the power supply going, I couldn't even hear the fan at all.
given it's 800 RPM, so it really does not move a whole lot of air. And this is the second one, which is rated at 1300 RPMs. Yes, 1300 RPMs. And get them in the same spacing. Now this fan is definitely slightly more audible, like I can still like just hear it. It's really quiet. But enough that you can hear it. With the smart meter tool, it looks like we're averaging around 40. Okay, so this is the B12.3. This is rated at 1900 RPMs. Let me double check that, but I believe so. Yeah, 1900 RPMs. Again, get it in the same position to at least give us somewhat close data, for as accurate as the meter can be. Now that one you could definitely kick up a little bit more. That was, you know, the last one was 1000 RPMs, this one it's 1900, so definitely a difference in the sound. Still doesn't sound bad though, like there's no like thumping or whining. The sound of the fan is quite smooth. And you can feel this definitely pushes some air. Looks like we're getting about 60. Okay, so we'll move on to number 4, which is the 2400 RPM fan, which I'm guessing we're going to hear quite a noticeable difference. Okay, so this is the B12.4 at 2400 RPMs. Let me move to the other side here. So obviously at 2400 RPMs, quite a noticeable difference in the audible level. I don't know if that's an actual problem with the meter. I didn't go out and buy an actual decibel tester. So again, this is just with the Sound Meter app. From all the reviews that I read on it, it is fairly accurate compared to most testing devices. But again, given that it's an app running off a phone, you're going to have to give, you know, plus or minus for some discrepancy. But it's reading at a solid 71. I don't know, it shouldn't be its max reading level. It dropped down a little bit, but it looks right around 70, 71 for the B12.4 at 2400 RPMs. Okay, so here's the B12PS, the PWM fan. As far as connecting it, the 3 pins to the far left. Again, this isn't without any control, so this is just at straight 12 volts. This is somewhat comparable to the B12.3, maybe just slightly louder. But also this ranges from 400 RPMs to 1500 RPMs. Averaging about 51, 52.
Okay, so that was a quick look at each of the 5 fans. Now from here, to give a testing in my system, I'm going to compare them to the fans that I have in there. I've got 2 Cooler Master Sickle Flow fans, and I also have 2 of the XSPC Rainstorm fans that came with the original water cooling setup that I had, which I've now changed out and customized, but to give a comparison. And then what I'll use is the 3rd set and the PWM fan, so B12.3 and the B12PS fans. That way I can regulate the RPMs to be same throughout all 6 of the fans, and then test them on my system and compare the temperatures and see how they actually compare and see how loud they are. So from here I've got to go and get the radiator out and get everything set up for how I'm going to do this. Currently run a push-pull configuration on my radiator, so I'm going to take off the top 2 fans, and all the fans that I'm going to be testing are going to be the 2 bottom fans in push. And once I get that all set up, we can go from there and see how things look.
Okay, so this is going to be the system that we're testing in. The case is a Fantech Enthoo Primo full tower case. The case is phenomenal. Again, this is available at Frozen CPU's website. Frozen Q PC mod, T-Wires reservoir, Intel Core i7 3770K, overclocked to 4.5 GHz, G-Skill Aries RAM at 1866 MHz with 16 gigs of that. I've got an MSI GTX 680 4 gig OC edition. The motherboard is the Intel DZ77 GA70K motherboard with the XSPC Raystorm block and 240mm radiator. The pump in the bottom is an EK D5 Vario speed pump, and the operating system is running off Intel Cherryville solid state drive. So figured I'd just give you a look at the system that we're going to be testing these fans in.
So I'm going to run my system like I normally run it every day. I'm going to test it doing video rendering, 3D modeling rendering, and gameplay, because that is primarily what I do. And I know it's a very generalized thing, but for the most part, people that tend to do PC modding, use their computers. They're not doing system tests every single day. I can run Intel burn-in test in Prime 95, but I want to see how these are going to function with regular day-to-day use, as I would use it every day, and give them a fair comparison that way to see how they would stand up just how I would normally use them. So right now the first test is going to be the XSPC Raystorm fans that came with the initial radiator that I bought. Yeah, so the first thing, like I said, is going to be the XSPC fans, and then from there I'm going to go to the Cooler Master Sickle Flow fans, and then to the Noiseblocker eLoop fans. And to give them a fair comparison, I'm going to keep all of my other fans at their lowest rating with the fan controller around 800-900 RPMs, and then the two fans on the radiator and push configuration are going to be running at 1500 RPMs, and that's going to be the same for all three sets of the fans. That way I get an even comparison and how I would use it day to day. And I think that should give a pretty good, general idea of how these are going to function and compare to the others. And yeah, we'll get started. I'll go through and start the testing process with these ones, and then I'll switch to the Cooler Master and then to the noise blockers. Okay, so we're back with the first set of fans, the XSPC fans. Ran the test. As far as the gaming goes, I did it on Battlefield 4 on Ultra, and then for the video rendering I use Sony Vegas Pro version 12, I believe, and then for the 3D model rendering I use Cinema 4D R15. As far as the temperatures goes for the XSPC fans, for Battlefield core temps, the lowest core was 63, or the lowest core was 59 C, and the highest core was 63 degrees C for Battlefield. For Vegas Pro, the lowest was 65, and the highest was 69 degrees Celsius. And for Cinema 4D is, really CPU intensive. Lowest temperature of the cores was 68 C, and the highest was 73 degrees C. Again, that's with all the other fans at their minimum. I usually drop quite a few degrees rendering stuff like that, and bring all the other fans up to temp, but just to give them a good comparison, I kept all the other fans at their lowest. So that was the XSPC fans. So now I've got the Cooler Master Sickle Flow fans in, again in push configuration on the bottom side of the radiator. So I'm going to go ahead, run the same tests again, and see what type of temperatures we get. Okay, so now we're on our third set of fans. If you can hear that, those are the Noiseblocker eLoop fans. Two of them at 1500 RPMs, just as the Cooler Master Sickle Flow and the XSPC fans. As far as the Cooler Master Sickle Flow fans, they matched up pretty closely to the XSPC fans. The Cooler Master fans, I did forget to mention the idle temps. The XSPC fan, the idle temps were 40 degrees, and the Cooler Master was 38. As far as load temps, for the Cooler Master Sickle Flows. For Battlefield, the cores ranged from 60 to 66 degrees Celsius for Battlefield. For Vegas Pro video rendering, they range from 61 to 67 degrees Celsius. And for Cinema 4D, the 3D model rendering, they range from 69 to 74 degrees Celsius. So I can already tell a big difference just off the load temperatures. Our load temps are 33, 34 degrees C. 33, 34. Yeah, we'll average for 33 degrees Celsius for the load, or for idle. So we're already a couple degrees lower there, and they are a little bit quieter. I did wind up having to use the B12 3 and 4 just so I could connect them to the fan controller and make sure they were properly controlled. But they are both at 1500 RPMs. The 3 is rated for 1900 and the 4 is rated for 2400. So I just downclocked them both to 1500. So I'm going to go ahead and run the test again and see what kind of temps we get. Okay, so I've ran the final test on the last two fans with the Noiseblocker eLoop series, and the results for that were, as expected, they were better. So again, like I said before, to cut the video, idle temps for the Noiseblocker eLoop were 33 degrees Celsius. For Battlefield, the load temps were between 54 degrees C and 62 degrees C, so that's definitely lower. For Vegas Pro for video rendering, we were at 58 degrees Celsius to 65 degrees Celsius, so that was a few degrees cooler as well. And Cinema 4D for the 3D model rendering, we were at 65 to 70 degrees Celsius. So all of those were a good plus or minus 5–10% lower, which was to be expected from all the reviews and the research that I did on the fans. They definitely live up to their expectations. They look really nice. They're definitely a lot quieter. Right now I've got all my fans going, so it's hard to tell the difference. But again, you know, in the beginning of the video we showed you just how loud they were, and you know, some of them are not loud at all. Depending, again, what you're going to use them for would depend on the fan that you want to get. The B12 one, again, that's 800 RPMs. That's a very low RPM fan, but it's almost silent. There's almost nothing to it. So that'd be a good, you know, case fan if you're not doing a lot of heavy lifting with your PC. And then the B12-4, that's 2400 RPMs. That's definitely a lot louder, but it pushes a lot of air, and it's still a lot quieter than any other fan that's rated at that RPM. So, so yeah, I'm very happy with them. They're really nice. Aesthetically, they look very nice, but functionality, they work great. So I'm very happy with them. A big thank you again to the guys at Frozen CPU for sponsoring the video. I really appreciate it. And again, you know, you guys can check them out, www.frozencpu.com. They have anything and everything that you would need regarding, you know, water cooling, air cooling, PC modding, power supplies, cases, anything. They have a ton of modding stuff. It's a really nice place. I'm very lucky to have them local to me. So thank you again for watching. Please, you know, like the video if you like it, dislike it if you liked it. And as always, please feel free to leave a comment below and let me know what you guys think. And thank you again for watching.